crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart.
We come together to commemorate a period of history known as the Holocaust, or in Hebrew, the Shoah. We pause to remember what happened and to assert our commitment to a world in which all people will live side by side, without hatred, without bigotry, without violence.
We come together in sorrow.
We mourn those who lost their lives, and we mourn an entire Jewish way of life that perished with them. We seek to make our own lives worthy of their incredible suffering and sacrifice. We seek to affirm our own humanity by recalling theirs.
We come together in anger.
For the loss of millions of people of various nationalities and backgrounds, for a campaign of annihilation and destruction for years of systematic and relentless mass murder. We hope to create a future with no more genocides, no more Holocaust. We hope we will have the wisdom to recognize evil and the courage to resist it.
We light 6 candles to remember the light of 6 million souls extinguished in the Holocaust.
We remember all who were murdered, Jews and Gentiles, victims, martyrs, heroes. We honor those who died because they were Jews, those who died because they helped Jews, and those who died because they resisted the Nazis.
We come together in light.
1933 to 1945, as Jews confronted increasing exclusion and degradation in Germany and Nazi-occupied Europe, the atmosphere became more difficult and oppressive each day. In memory of the terrible events that shaped this history, and in honor of the 6 million Jews who ultimately perished in the Holocaust, we light 6 candles.
Self-reliance. German Jews struggled to lead normal lives under challenging circumstances. To survive, many focused on building self-reliance and created their own Jewish cultural, professional, educational, and social service organizations. Mary Offentier was one of many Jewish youth to join a Jewish sports club. Among her most precious possessions was a sports blouse emblazoned with the Star of David, which she wore with pride from 1936 to 1938 in Berlin. In honor of those who found strength in their Jewish heritage, a candle is lit.
Kristallnacht. Nazi hate turned violent in an eruption of anti-Semitism known as Kristallnacht, Night of Broken Glass. Across Germany from November 9th to 10th, 1938, mobs torched, attacked, and destroyed synagogues, Jewish homes, and arrested and murdered men on the street. When the Gestapo, the Nazi secret state police, came looking for Seligman Bear Bamberger in the city of Hamburger, he was not at home. He was at a synagogue, rescuing the Holy Torah scroll of his community from damage. In honor of those who saw their homes and community life destroyed, a candle is lit.
Seeking refuge. Increasingly, Jews felt that they must flee Germany, yet endless paperwork was required to emigrate and then enter any other country. Few nations were willing to accept Jews seeking refuge. Leaving Germany also meant giving up jobs, homes, and a culture of which they were a part. When England announced that it would take in Jewish children under the Kindertransport program, many parents chose to send their children to possible safety. Loving parents Isidor and Greta Lefort of Ludwigshafen, Germany, entrusted their daughter Edith into the hands of strangers in England. In honor of these and other parents who faced impossible decisions, a candle is lit.
Ghettos. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, and by 1940, most of Western Europe came under Nazi domination. In Eastern Europe, Jews were forced into ghettos where hunger, overcrowding, and poor sanitation bred conflict and disease. Despite the daily humiliation, Jews made heroic attempts to preserve their dignity. Rabbi Ze'ev Wolf Rosenberg hid a few valuable religious possessions in his backyard, but also kept a spice box with him when deported from Hungary. Though flattened and hidden, the ritual item gave the Rosenbergs hope despite the injustices of life in the ghettos and the camps. In honor of those who fought against hate by remembering their own humanity, a candle is lit.
Killing centers. Jews met cruelty and death throughout Nazi-occupied Europe. Yet, within the nightmare of the concentration camps and ghettos, 6 places had a unique purpose. These were the killing centers, built to murder all the world's Jews swiftly and efficiently. Auschwitz-Birkenau, Belzec, Chelmno, Majdanek, Sobibor, and Treblinka. Young Jacques Wisniak from Paris was just one of the innocent victims. He was deported to Sobibor the day before his 10th birthday, along with his mother and brother. In honor of those who confronted an existence more terrifying than any they could have imagined, a candle is lit.
Liberation. For Jews, liberation was the end of a nightmare, but it was also the beginning of a painful process. Survivors had to cope with sorrow, sickness, and unprecedented loss. When 14-year-old Aviva Finkelstein made her way to America with only a small green suitcase of all of her belongings, she was reunited with her father, the only surviving member of her family. In honor of those who lost almost everything, a candle is lit.
The last of every rest, so richly, brightly, dazzlingly yellow, yellow. Such a yellow
The Last Butterfly was written by Pavel Friedman, who was born in Prague and deported to Terezin ghetto at age 11. Pavel perished in Auschwitz in 1944, but his poem remains to this day in the collection of the State Jewish Museum in Prague. Many Jews and Jewish children expressed their suffering through poetry, drawing, and music. Through their dreams and visions, they could escape their harsh reality and the difficult conditions of living in the ghetto. Avram Koplowitz wrote of his dreams to escape to freedom. He also perished in Auschwitz in 1944. He left us his words of hope.
A poem by Koplowitz. When I grow up and reach the age of 20, I'll set out and see the enchanting world. I'll take a seat in a bird with a motor. I'll rise and soar into space. I'll fly, sail, hover over the lovely faraway world. I'll soar over rivers and oceans. Skyward shall I ascend and blossom. A cloud my sister, the wind my brother. I'll see the pyramids and the Sphinx. I'll fly over Niagara Falls. I'll drift over the cloud-strewn cliffs of Tibet. By wind, I'll cross the great Kangaroo Island. I'll fly slowly, hovering lazily. And thus, basking in the enchantment of this world, skyward shall I soar and blossom. A cloud my sister, the wind my brother.
The well-known Yiddish lullaby by Mark Warsharky describes children learning the Hebrew alphabet, symbolic of passing down the Jewish tradition from generation to generation. The song concludes, "When you grow weary and old, you will understand that this alphabet contains the tears and weeping of our people. When you grow weary and burdened with exile, you will find comfort and strength with the Jewish alphabet." We'll listen to the song in the next video.
An excerpt from Elie Wiesel's Night. Never shall I forget that night, the first night in camp, which has turned my life into one long night, 7 times cursed and 7 times sealed. Never shall I forget that smoke. Never shall I forget the little faces of the children, whose bodies I saw turned into wreaths of smoke beneath a silent blue sky. Never shall I forget those flames which consumed my faith forever. Never shall I forget that nocturnal silence which deprives me for all eternity of the desire to live. Never shall I forget those moments which murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to dust. Never shall I forget these things, even if I am condemned to live as long as God himself. Never.
First They Came, a poem by Pastor Martin Niemöller. First they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the communists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me.
The Oath. a poem by Avraham Shlansky. By these eyes that have seen the woe, their outcries heaving to my heart's embrace. By compassion which taught me condone and forgive, till days did come too awful for grace. I've taken this oath as I breathe and live to remember everything, every place, till the 10th generation forget no jot, till each of my insults be completely assuaged, till the last of my lashed has hastened their lot. Cry heaven, if in vain was this night outraged. Cry heaven, if by morning I resume my trod, and all this from my mind disengage.
שאמות משהו ממני, משהו ממני ימות בך, ימות בך, שתמות משהו ממך בי, משהו ממך בי ימות איתך, ימות איתך, כי כולנו, כן כולנו, כולנו רקמה אנושית אחת חיה, ואם אחד מאיתנו הולך מעימנו, משהו מת בנו, משהו נשאר איתו. אם נדע איך להגיע, איך להגיע את האיבה, אם רק נדע, אם נדע להשליט את זעמנו על אף עלבוננו, לומר סליחה, אם רק נדע, כי כולנו, כן כולנו, כולנו רקמה אנושית אחת חיה, ואם אחד מאיתנו הולך מעימנו, אז משהו מת בנו, משהו נשאר איתו. נשאר איתו.
The Nazis were determined to not just wipe out the Jews of their generations, but to exterminate the Jews of the future. They failed, and many of those children who survived have spent the years since telling their stories, educating Jews and non-Jews about the dangers of intolerance and the need to respect the dignity of difference. These survivors made a commitment to live for what victims of the Shoah died for.
As a people, we not only share a covenant of faith, we also share a covenant of fate. Today, as the number of Shoah survivors sadly declines, the duty of remembrance falls on our generation and on our future generations not yet born.
Yom HaSho'a is a vital day in the Jewish calendar, providing us with a focal point for our remembrance. We cannot bring the dead back to life, but we can bring their memory back to life and ensure they are not forgotten. We can undertake in our lives to do what they were so cruelly prevented from doing in theirs.
In doing so, we make a great affirmation of life. We ensure that out of the darkest night, the light of the survivors and their memories remains. Faced with destruction, the Jewish people survived. Lo amut ki echye, says the psalm. I will not die, but will live.
Shining stars and cloudless skies of blue. Through the window crack I see you, and I long to run and touch the sun. Dear diary, what else can I do? Growing up and longing for a friend, hoping that our secret life will end in words of light written in the night. My thoughts and hopes and dreams to you I send. I still believe, in spite of everything, that people really are good at heart. And the skies will be bright, and it will all come right, and the springtime of peace will start. Dreaming of the precious air of freedom, waking and I feel like crying. There's no place to go, but still I know skies are clear and birds are flying. Happiness and love that I can share in a world of truth and beauty. When the thunder's near and when I fear, the light of morning dawn will come to me. I still believe, in spite of everything, that people really are good at heart. And the skies will be bright, and it will all come right, and the springtime of peace will start. And the skies will be bright, and it will all come right, and the springtime of peace will start.
Thank you all for being with us, and thank you to our wonderful children for leading us so beautifully and inspiring. Normally at this time we would hear from a survivor, we would hear words from our community. This afternoon we would like to share with you a video of survivors from actually Tunisia to speak about the unspoken people who perished in the Holocaust from North Africa.
בבת אחד, באותו יום, המון גרמנים מסתובבים ברחובות עם טנקים, מכוניות, עם זה. ולא היינו יודעים עליהם הרבה, כי גם לא ידענו על מה שקורה באירופה, שום דבר.
היו הודעות מופנות רק ליהודים. אספו אותנו בבית ספר אליאנס, וביקשו מרופאים יהודים לעשות את המיון בין אנשים מסוגלים לעבוד, ואנשים שמצב בריאותם פוסל אותם לעבודה. לקחו אותנו מבית הספר לתחנת הרכבת. עכשיו, בדרך הזאת לי קרה משהו ששינה את כל החיים שלי. עברנו ברחוב איפה שנולדתי ואיפה שגדלתי, איפה שהיו החברים, הייתי כבר בן 19 באותה תקופה. ואז פתאום כל הסביבה הזאת שנראתה לי כל כך פתוחה וכל כך מאמצת וכל כך מעודדת, שמחה ומחאה כפיים על זה שהגרמנים לוקחים אותנו. ונשמעו פה ושם סל ז'ויף, זאת אומרת יהודי מלוכלך וכו'. העולם שלי התמוטט.
למחרת בבוקר לקחו אותנו ברגל עד לספסף. חווה אחת של איזה ערבי, ושם הגרמנים לקחו אותנו והכניסו אותנו, שישנו על קש, באורוות של סוסים, אפילו לא הוציאו את הזבל משם. לוקחים אותנו לעבודות חפירה, בעיקר חפירה, תעלות ודברים כאלה, ומהבוקר עד הערב, והערב באים, אוכלים מה שאוכלים, לא חשוב, תולעים, לא תולעים, אבל אוכלים מה שיש. באותו קופסה שאוכלים, גם שותים וגם משתינים בלילה. אותה קופסה.
באותה תקופה הבנו שהפגיעה הזאת היא פגיעה יהודית, ליהודים. אז הרגשנו, כן, שאנחנו כיהודים ולא כאזרחים אלמונים אירופאים, אנחנו נמצאים במחנה, אלא כיהודים, כי שמענו את הכללות על היהודים.
קשה להבין שבני אדם יכולים לעשות ככה. ואחר כך התחילו אצלנו הכנים על הגוף כמו נמלים.
התחלנו ללמוד קצת כמה מינים גרמניות. ראוס, יודן ראוס, יודעים החוצה.
יודן הונד, verfluchte Menschen, אני יודע, לאוס, אופשטיין, arbeiten, זה דברים כאלה. זה נשאר לי, זה חרוט בראש, כל מה שאמרו לי.
At this time, we chant the El Maleh Rachamim for the 6 million. It's a special version of our memorial prayer dedicated specifically to this day. El Maleh Rachamim Shochan v'Merumim תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזון הרכים לנשמות רבבות אלפי אחינו ואחיותינו שנרצחו בשואה בעבור שאנחנו וכל בית ישראל מתפללים בעד אזכרת נשמתם. בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיי עולמים ויצרון חיים את נשמתם. אדוני God full of compassion, God full of mercy, you who dwell in the heights, shelter them beneath the wings of your presence, high among the holy and the pure, who shine like the brilliant heavens. Shelter them, shelter the souls of our sisters and brothers of the house of Israel who were slaughtered in the HaSho'a. They revered your name, their soul passed into your care. Let Eden be their resting place. Master of mercy, drape them and keep them forever in your protecting presence, bind their souls to the living and to life. God, you are their inheritance where they rest. Ease them with peace. And together we say, Amen. And we are all welcome to join in Kaddish Yatom. If you are comfortable, please rise. You are welcome to unmute yourself and join us. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומייכון.
Oh, is big Israel.
וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא
ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל ברכו
ושירתה תושבחתה
תושבחתה
ונחמתה דאמירן
דעלמא
דעלמא
בירם
אמן.
אמן.
יהי
שלמה
רבה
רבה
מן
מן
שמיא
שמיא
וחיים עלינו ועל כל
כל
ישראל
ישראל
ואמרו
ואמרו
אמן.
אמן.
עושה
עושה
שלום
שלום
ביומיו
בימיו הוא
יעשה
יעשה
שלום
שלום
עלינו
עלינו
ועל
ועל
כל
כל
ישראל
ישראל
ואמרו
ואמרו
אמן.
אמן.
Shimon Peres has said, at the laying of the cornerstone of the Museum of the Jewish People at Beit HaTfutzot, there are no other people like the Jewish people, who have gone from destruction to destruction, who lost 1/3 of their population in the Holocaust, and yet still embrace a glorious history spanning thousands of years. I am proud to be a part of the Jewish people wherever they are, and call upon them to partake in preserving our history.
We conclude our ceremony today with singing of Hatikva, the hope. Please join us. Sion Yerushalayim.